The next one is ripple factor. So as we have already discussed, ripple factor is going to tell you the amount of AC component present in the DC output, or it can be defined as it is the quantitative measure of conversion of AC power to the DC power by a full wave rectifier. So since it is going to tell you the amount of AC component present in DC output, we are going to take it as IAC by IDC. So the same thing, if you reverse it, it becomes what it becomes. Instead of taking IAC by IDC, if you take IDC by IAC, what it becomes? Just think. Instead of taking IAC by IDC, if you take the equation by mistake IDC by IAC, what it will give?
Efficiency.
Yes, very good. It gives the efficiency. Okay, so don't get confused. For ripple, AC will come in the numerator, DC will come in the denominator. For efficiency, DC will come in the numerator, AC will come in the denominator. Since we know that we don't have an equation directly for IAC, what we do is we take IRMS square. IRMS square is equal to IAC square plus IDC square, and we rewrite it for IAC, which is equal to root of IRMS square minus I square DC. So when you substitute this in the equation, let us take this as equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. When you substitute equation number 2 in 1, we get it is root of I square RMS minus I square DC divided by IDC. So we'll take this IDC inside the root so that it becomes whole root of I square RMS divided by I square DC minus 1, since it gets cancelled. After that, we substitute for IRMS and IDC values, which are in terms of peak current. So as we have already obtained the equation for IRMS as Im by root 2, we'll substitute that. So Im by root 2 whole square divided by, we have got 2 Im by pi whole square. So again we have the root and minus 1. So Im will get cancelled. After simplifying this, we are going to get root of 1.11 whole square minus 1. So on further calculation, we'll be getting 0.482, or in the ripple factor in percentage, it will be 48.2%. That indicates even after using two diodes, we are having 48.2% of AC component in the DC output. Actually, we are expecting DC, pure DC at the output, but in the output signal, it is also having AC component. How much percentage of AC component is present? 48.2% of AC component is present. What was the percentage of ripple factor in half wave rectifier?
121%. Sorry,
121%. 121%, right? So when compared to half wave rectifier, the ripple factor has, or ripple has been reduced to this extent, but still this is not an good ripple factor, because the ripple factor should be as much as it should be less as much as possible. So if it is 0%, it is well and good. If it is 1%, 2%, 3%, 6% also, it is okay. But if it is 48.2%, again it shows that 50% of the signal is AC only, not DC. And you can also see the output is completely, you have already seen the output. So the output is completely like this. So this indicates that the output seriously contains AC components in it. So now we have to remove this. So for removing this, we will be using filters that we will discuss in the later topics. After ripple factor, the next one is efficiency. So for efficiency, already we know that it is the ratio of the DC power delivered to the load by AC power input. So we have equation for PDC as I square DC into RL, and for PAC we are having I square RMS, because always remember AC value will be always expressed in terms of RMS, and also the resistance will be RL, RS, RF. And I had told you why you are having RL, RS, RF, three resistors in AC, and why you have only one resistance in DC. Can anyone tell that again? Why we consider three resistors in AC and only one resistor in DC? Nobody knows.
Sir, it's static resistance, right?
Yeah, static resistance, all those things. Why you are having all these three things? Why you consider in AC? Why not you'll consider in DC?
Because in AC it's complete varying as per time being, so that's why uh, for forward one and static.
Static, no, that is secondary resistance. RS is secondary resistance. RF is your forward resistance.
Sir, when AC is converted into DC, it has to pass through
Hmm.
diode, and it has to get stepped down from
Yes.
primary transformer to secondary transformer.
Yes.
Then one more resistance will be there.
Yes. So this is the answer. All of you, please remember this. When AC signal is been given, it has to pass through transformer, primary to secondary. From the secondary, it has to go to diode. So we need to consider secondary resistance. We need to consider the secondary resistance of the transformer. We need to consider the forward resistance of the diode. But here in DC, what happens? This DC signal is obtained only after passing the diode, right? Only after passing the diode. See, at this point, whatever you are having, this is not DC. At this point, whatever you are getting, that is DC. That means the DC is obtained after the diode, not before the diode. But AC is flowing before the diode also and after the diode also. So that's why we need to consider all the three resistance in AC condition, and in DC condition we will be having only RL, because for DC is obtained after the diode. So only the opposition offered for this diode is load resistance. So we will be not considering the diode or diode resistance. Okay. Now, so all of you should remember this. I cannot repeat the same thing again and again. Now, after this, we will substitute the equation I square DC
Sir,
into R. Yes,
sir, then load resistor is also come after the diode only, right, sir?
but already you are having the see diode. After the diode only it will come. Okay, I
Yes, sir.
told you at this point you are having DC current. This
Yes,
current
sir.
is flowing through load resistance, no? So
Yes,
obviously
sir.
this load resistance will offer opposition to the flow of this DC current. That's
Okay,
why
sir.
we consider here. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now substituting for IDC, we know that it is 2Im by pi whole square into RL divided by Im by root 2 whole square into RL plus RS plus RF. So now Im will get cancelled, and you will be having again, as we have discussed in the previous classes, RS plus RF is very less compared to the load resistance. RS means transformer secondary resistance, RF means forward resistance of the diode. It will be in terms of few ohms, but RL will be in terms of kilo ohms. So that's why it will be very less. So this can be ignored. RS plus RS can be ignored, and we can write just as RL. So it becomes 2 by pi whole square divided by 1 by root 2 whole square into RL by RL. So RL get cancelled, and remaining thing we are going to take. So the remaining, when you consider the remaining thing, it will be 8 by pi square. So when you are going to simplify this, so you will be getting around 0.812, and this will be equal to 81.2%. So this is the rectifier efficiency of full wave rectifier with center tap. So 81.2% is the efficiency which is being obtained in the center tap transformer, center tap full wave rectifier. After this, as usual, we are having the peak inverse voltage, PIV. As we have already discussed, peak inverse voltage, that means this is the voltage, maximum voltage that can be withstand by the diode under reverse bias condition. See here, in the last case, we had a single diode, and since it was having a single diode, we were taking the peak inverse voltage or the reverse voltage that can be withstand by the diode is minus Vm. But in this case, since we are having two diodes, in each half cycle, the peak inverse voltage offered to each diode will be minus Vm. So minus Vm, if minus Vm is the peak inverse voltage offered for diode D1, and minus Vm is offered for the diode D2, because you know that during first half cycle, the D2 will be off, and during second half cycle, D1 will be off. So during that time, D1 is going to be offered with minus Vm reverse voltage, and D2, and similarly for D2 also will be having minus Vm when it is reverse biased. So totally the peak inverse voltage will be minus 2 Vm. Okay, minus 2 Vm. So minus indicates reverse voltage or inverse voltage. Okay, in exam, if they ask you, you have to represent it as minus 2 Vm. Okay, but while explaining, we'll just tell it is Vm plus Vm, that is the peak inverse voltage is 2 Vm. But in the problems and all, you should indicate minus sign. That indicates it's the inverse voltage or the reverse voltage. So this is about the center tap full wave rectifier. So after this center tap full wave rectifier, we have to go for bridge rectifier. Before going on to the bridge rectifier, let us look into the advantages and disadvantages of this rectifier, and then we'll go on to the next one. So coming to the advantages, here advantages is with respect to half wave rectifier. We need to see what are the advantages of full wave rectifier with center tap considering half wave rectifier or versus half wave rectifier. So when you consider full wave rectifier versus half wave rectifier, we know that the ripple factor is less compared to that, where there we had 121%, and here we are having 48.2%. Coming to the efficiency is pretty good. Here it is 81.2%, where in that case we are having very less, 40.6% efficiency. So exactly half of it. So it is one of the good improvement, and it requires only 2 diodes, because in bridge rectifier we need 4 diodes. So considering that, this is simple because it requires only 2 diodes. And this one it is going to rectify for full cycle. This is one advantage we are having. But in half wave rectifier, it was rectifying for only half of the cycle. So here it is going to rectify for full cycle. Coming to the disadvantages. So disadvantage here is, here the transformer, when it is considered with respect to the transformer voltage, it is going to just consume only half of the transformer voltage. That is one disadvantage, and it is having higher PIV. So that means diode, whatever you are going to use, so that diode should be capable of withstanding capacity of 2 VM. So it should, the diode which you are using should withstand 2 VM peak inverse voltage. That means if it is VM is 5, then the diode should capable of withstanding 10 volt reverse voltage. Usually we are going to consider the higher withstanding power or higher withstanding voltage. So that's why it should be 2 VM. And also the main difficulty what we are going to face here is, we are using a center tap transformer. So whenever you are using a center tap transformer, you need to locate the exact center point in the secondary of the transformer. So in the secondary of the transformer. So that is one of the drawback, because as we have discussed, so we need to exactly tap at the center, so that the number of turns here and here should be same. That is N1 and N2. If you take this as N1 and this as N2, so N1 and N2 should be same. Otherwise, what happens if there is some difference? So the voltage what we are getting here will be different, and voltage what we are getting here will be different. If that happens, at the output, what happens is, instead of getting, see, this is what we are going to expect, so that all the peak levels are equal. But if this number of turns, coil turns are different, means if they are mismatching, then instead of getting peaks like this, we'll be getting like this. Okay, so different peak levels we are going to get. Okay, this problem will be occurring since we are using center tap transformer. And also the cost of this kind of transformer is quite high compared to the normal transformers. So obviously, so the cost will be high for this particular transformer. After that, we are having some problems. Before going on to the problems, let us finish the bridge rectifier also. Then we'll come back to the problems. So the last part of bridge rectifiers is bridge rectifiers. Here the derivations, everything is same. The only change is circuit and the working. That is the only change. So, but derivations, efficiency, ripple factor, everything is same as full wave rectifier with center tap. Bridge rectifier is also a type of full wave rectifier. See, in an exam, you should read the question properly, because they'll ask like this: full wave bridge rectifier. They'll ask like this. full wave bridge rectifier. So what you will do, no? Many of the papers I have seen, as soon as they see full wave rectifier, they'll start writing using two diodes. That is wrong. Should read completely and look in. If they clearly mention full wave rectifier with center tap, or they can ask, explain the center tap full wave rectifier. If they ask like this, then use two diodes. If they ask like this, then you should use four diodes. Don't get confused. This is the major confusion you'll be having, and purposefully in the question paper, they'll give like this full wave bridge rectifier. Actually, it is not wrong to ask like this. It is correct only because bridge rectifier is also a type of full wave rectifier only. So full wave bridge rectifier they'll ask you, and you'll be writing, since you see the first two words, okay, and you start writing two diodes. So don't do like that. And sometimes they'll ask you like this, full wave rectifier using four diodes. If they ask like this, that means they're asking for bridge rectifier. If they're asking two, that means they're asking for center tap full wave rectifier. Suppose if they are just telling you, okay, explain full wave rectifier, working of full wave rectifier, then choice is yours because they are not mentioning which one. So you can either write full wave rectifier with center tap or bridge rectifier. Okay, these are all the confusions which you will be having while writing the exam. So don't get confused. So have some clarity. Okay. Now coming back, as you know, we'll be having an AC source. After that, we'll be having a step down transformer, and we'll be having this is the primary and this is the secondary. So till here it is same. After that, the diodes are connected in bridge fashion, as you have already studied Wheatstone bridge and all in your class 12th or second PU. The same way here we are going to connect diode in a bridge fashion. Since the diode is connected in a bridge fashion, so we are going to call it as bridge rectifier. So diode will be connected like this. And to these terminals, you need to connect. And across the remaining two terminals, the output is seen. So by connecting the load resistance RL, the output is going to be obtained. So D1, D2, D3, D4. Simple way to remember. See, anyhow, you know, because many times almost 60% of the students, they'll do mistakes in writing this diode structure. That's why I'm telling. So mark 4 points. Okay, and starting from this, you'll be having anode ends. Here you'll be having cathode ends. Simple way I'm telling how to remember. Anode ends means both the diodes anode ends should connect. Both the diodes anode ends should connect. Okay, here cathode ends should connect means, so obviously the diodes which are coming here, both of them should meet with the cathode ends. So now join the remaining. Done. Okay, don't get confused. Remember this method. All of you understood this? How to write? It is a simple way to remember. One side anode ends, other side cathode ends. And you know that obviously it will have 4 diodes. So start with anode, end with cathode ends. All of you understood this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, after this, let us mark the terminals A, B, C, and D. So these are the terminals we are having. Now, in each half cycle, a pair of diodes will be conducting. That means 2 diodes conducts in each half cycle. So now, during first half cycle, that means during positive half cycle, the current will come here. So when the current comes here, and there are 2 paths, right? One is this one and other one is this one. So now you look in, for D2, the current is entering from anode. For D1, the current is entering from cathode. What happens when the current enters from cathode, and what happens when current enters from anode?
Anode forward bias, sir.
Hmm.
Cathode reverse bias.
Yes, good. So when the current comes in this direction, the diode will get reverse bias. So it gets open circuited, and the current is going to flow like this, and again it will come here. So there are 2 paths for the current, like this and this one. Again, what happens to this diode? This will get reverse biased. So the current cannot flow here. So the only path allowed is this one. So it has to go to the load, and it will come back and come here. So since already it is open circuited, the current cannot flow. So it has to go to this diode, and it will come back to the other end. So this is how one half cycle is completed. This is case 1. So you need to write this individually. So 3 diagrams you need to write, showing the full circuit. After that, showing the forward bias condition of D2 and D4, and again showing the forward bias condition of D1 and D3. Okay. Now, after this, so we are having diodes here. So a notch kind of structure, this indicates that they are not connected. This wire and this wire is not connected. Because sometimes if you write like this, and by mistake, if you are going to mark a point here, or while writing an ink drop might be more at this point. So that indicates that they are interconnected. So your circuit will be wrong. So better use this notch. Okay. Now coming to the next cycle, next half cycle. So during that time, the current starts flowing here. So when the current comes, there are two paths again. So if the current goes like this diode is reverse biased, the current can only pass like this. Now, again, there are two paths. One is to move forward towards the load, and other one is to go towards the diode D2. If the current goes like this, the diode gets reverse biased. It acts as open circuit. Once it acts like open circuit, it will not allow the current to pass through it. So the only allowed path is this one. So the current is going to flow through this load resistance, and it will come back through this wire and come over here. And again, since it is already reverse bias, the current will not flow here. So the current will flow through this diode D1, and it will come back to the other terminal of the secondary of the transformer. So that in first half cycle, we are having D2, D4 in on condition. During second half cycle, we'll be having D1, D3 in on condition. So this is about the working of the bridge rectifier. So as usual, the waveforms are same. So that is the input, and you'll be getting the output like this. This is the V in, this is the V out, or if you want to write IL also, you'll be getting the same. This is about the bridge rectifier. Coming to the derivations of bridge rectifier, see, purposefully they'll ask you to derive the equation for bridge rectifier. So none of the books gives the derivation for bridge rectifier because derivations are same. Derivations are same for both full wave rectifiers. Please remember this. If they ask bridge rectifier derivations, find the IDC, IRMS, efficiency, ripple factor of a bridge rectifier, means you need to write the derivations of center tap. Just we done, no? Center tap full wave rectifier. Same derivations you have to write here. But there are two changes in this. What are those two changes? See, the two changes is there in each half cycle, the resistance offered by the diode was RF. But here, since in each half cycle, how many diodes are conducting in each half cycle?
Two.
Two diodes are conducting. So obviously, this becomes 2 RF. So wherever you are having RF, you just add it as 2 RF. But even after adding 2 RF also, it will not change anything because RF will be usually 10 ohm. 10 ohm is nothing when you consider load resistance, which will be minimum 1 kilo ohm. So when you consider 10 ohm to 1 kilo ohm, it is nothing. So that's why you cannot, you can just ignore it. Okay, but while writing, you can write 2 RF. And coming to PIV, this is very, very important. Many of them will get confused. See, in this PIV, the PIV will be just VM, not 4 VM or 2 VM. It will be just VM, that too minus VM because of reverse voltage. Why it is minus VM? Why not it is 4 VM? See, why it is just VM? Because here during each half cycle, two diodes are going to conduct. Since two diodes are going to conduct for each half cycle, the opposition offered will be shared by two diodes. The opposition reverse voltage offered by the diodes will be shared among the two diodes. So since this reverse voltage is shared among two diodes, obviously the it will be just minus Vm. These are the only two changes you will be having in the derivation. Rest of all, same derivation you write. Bridge rectifier derivations, whatever you are having for full wave rectifier center tap, same derivation you rewrite for this. But when you consider while finding out efficiency and all, you'll consider no RL plus RS plus this way. So there you just add 2RF. But still, even after 2RF also, RL is very greater than RS plus 2RF. So this is what you need to consider. Okay. So after this, the advantages. So coming to the advantages, the first advantage is we don't need a center tap. Center tap transformer is not needed. So we don't require center tap transformer. So after this, the PIV rating required is just VM. So we can use a lower end diodes also. And also, even though we are using two diodes, even though we use two diodes here, four diodes here, it is not bulky because always remember center tap transformer, the weight is more compared to normal transformer. Since we are using normal transformer here, even though we are using four diodes, the bulkiness is not to that level, or weight is less. But coming to the disadvantages, here we are having two extra diodes we are having, and also since we are having four diodes, one problem what we get is, see, in each half cycle two diodes are going to conduct, and we are using four diodes. All these four diodes should be identical in the sense the drop should be same. If you are using silicon diodes and all the four diodes all the four silicon diode should have a cut-in voltage, drop-in voltage 0.7 volt only, suppose, okay, or 0.6 volt only. All of them should have same. It might be lesser or greater, but all of them should have same. It should not be like this. D1 is having 0.7, D2 is having 0.6, again D3 is having 0.5, and D4 is having 0.6. If it is like this, they're not identical. So all of them, whether it might be 0.6 or 0.5 or 0.7, all of them should have same value, same voltage drop they should have. So if they mismatch, again as I told in the center tap transformer thing, the same thing will happen. If they mismatch, again the output will become like this. Again, what happens because of this variation, the percentage regulation will increase. When percentage regulation ideally or usually preferred is 1 to 2%. But if this happens, then the variation will be more. So when variation is more, during that time, automatically regulation will be increased. Okay, so this is about bridge rectifier. So after this, we are having the regulators. The rectifier using center tap. Before going on to that, we will solve some problems, and then we'll go on for the remaining part.